President Joe Biden has warned Israel that the US will stop supplying some weapons if it launches a major ground operation in the Gaza city of Rafah. According to President Joe Biden, he said, if they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons that have been used historically to deal with Rafah. He said this during an interview with the CNN. He also added that he would continue to make sure Israel is secure. Despite firm and vocal US opposition, Israel appears poised to mount a large-scale invasion of Rafah. The congested part of southern Gaza is Hamas' large major stronghold in the territory. US officials have warned that any operation in the city where the population has swelled with refugees from other parts of Gaza could lead to extensive civilian casualties. We are not going to supply the weapons and artillery shells, Mr. Biden said in the interview, which aired on Wednesday. He said the US did not define the current situation in Rafah as a grand operation. They haven't gone into the population centers. What they did is right on the border, he said. But I have made it clear to Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu and the war cabinet that they are not going to get our support if in fact they go into these population centers. Mr. Biden acknowledged that the US weapons has been used by Israel to kill civilians in Gaza. When asked if Israel has crossed a red line, the US president replied, not yet. The comment amounts to the president's strongest warning yet over a potential ground invasion in Rafah and marked the first time he has said that the US could stop shipment of American weapons to Israel. Israel ambassador to the UN said the country was very disappointed by Mr. Biden's intervention. This is a difficult and very disappointing statement to hear from a president to whom we have been grateful since the beginning of the war, Gilad Erdan told Israeli public broadcaster in Kan Radio. The US has already delayed a shipment of thousands of bombs to Israel and has said it is reviewing future deliveries. On Wednesday, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed the delay of the bomb shipment, some of the most destructive munitions in Western military arsenals, while testifying in front of the Senate. The weapons being held back by the US are related to a future delivery, so the move is unlikely to have an immediate impact. But given the rate at which Israel is bombing it, will probably affect future strike fairly soon. The Israeli military, meanwhile, has said that the two countries will resolve disagreements behind closed doors. President Biden faces mounting domestic pressure from some Democrats and part of the US public to rein in Israeli operations in Gaza, amid rising civilian deaths and a worsened humanitarian situation. US officials confirmed no new aid supplies had been delivered in Gaza via two gates in the south since Israeli tanks rolled into southern Rafah and took control of the Palestinian side of the crossing with Egypt this week. The Israeli spokesman Daniel Hagari said the US has provided unprecedented security assistance since the beginning of the war, adding that disputes between the two allies were resolved behind closed doors in a matter-of-fact way. But a leading member of Mr. Netanyahu's Likud party in Israel told the BBC's NewsHour on Wednesday that he believed the US domestic political considerations were behind the decisions to halt the delivery of bombs. I totally disagree that the American election has nothing to do with it, said Boaz Bismuth, a member of both the Israeli parliament and the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee. Rafah has been a key entry point for aid and the only exit for people able to flee since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas last October. The crossing remained closed on Wednesday morning, but the Israeli military said it was reopening the nearby Kerem Shalom crossing, which had been closed for 4 days because of Hamas rocket fire. On Monday, the Israeli military ordered tens of thousands of civilians to begin evacuating eastern parts of Rafah city, ahead of what is called a limited operation to eliminate Hamas fighters and dismantle infrastructure. Meanwhile, efforts continue to reach a ceasefire alongside the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners in Cairo. Delegations from Israel and Hamas have resumed negotiations through mediators. A US official said that talks with Israel were ongoing and have not fully addressed our concern.
والله رموا تو مناشير مش عارفين وين بدنا نروح، عمال هيني قاعد بجري، انا كنت نازح في الاول في المغاثي في مضصة وكاله وراح لي ولد فيها، وهيني عمال بدي اطلع مش عارف وين بدي اروح على المواصل ولا اروح على الزوايد، مش عارفين وين بدنا نروح، قاعدين بنجري ما بنجري قاعدين.